This is one of the weirdest cults and religions I've ever seen, but I really think there is a cult and religion around the Monty Hall paradox. Like, the amount of emotional energy I see people have invested in this problem is just unreal. I mean, it's just a random math problem. Like, 99% of people could care less whether they can solve some differential calculus question correctly. How come they care so much whether they get this Monty Hall thing correct or not? It's so weird. This is going to be the third video on the Monty Hall problem here, and we're going to prove without any shadow of doubt that the Monty Hall problem is incorrect. Now, in order for the Monty Hall problem to be the standard 2/3 probability, the following rules and conditions have to be met. The host must reveal exactly one door every time after the contestant selects a door, and the host cannot reveal the car or open your door. Some less important assumptions are that the goats are randomized at the start, and the car is a better choice than the goats or cash. Some weirdo might prefer the goats over the car. These ones I think you could leave out and still say, well, you know, usually in probability, by default, we assume randomness. Okay, so these two, they're not super important to include, but if you want to be, you know, you want to have a really high quality problem, you should include those two. All right, so there's two versions of the Monty Hall that I think you could claim are the original version. You could go by the very first version of the problem ever made, or you could go by the famous version that popularized it. All right, we're going to look at both these and investigate if it's plausible that you could know these assumptions based on the wording of the problems. Okay, so we're going to get into the original version first. This is by Steve Sullivan, 1975. All right, so we're looking for the following two assumptions. Host must reveal exactly one door every time after contestant selects door, and host cannot reveal your door or open the door with the car. So let's go into this. So it's Make a Deal, a famous TV show starring Monty Hall. Well, we certainly don't have any of the assumptions in that statement. One of the three boxes labeled A, B, and C contains the keys to the new 1975 Lincoln Continental. The other two are empty. If you choose the box containing the keys, you win the car. Contestant gasps, select one. Monty Hall says select one of the boxes, and you select box B as an example. Okay, certainly not in there. Now, box A and box C are on the table, and here is box B. Contestant grips box B tightly. It is possible the car keys are in this box. I'll give you $100 for that box. How about 200? No, we'll raise the stakes. Certainly no information there. Remember that the probability of your box containing the keys to the car is 1/3, and the probability to your box being empty is 2/3. I'll give you $500 for your box. No, I think I'll keep the box, says the contestant. And then Monty says, I'll do you a favor and open one of the remaining boxes on the table. Okay, so he says he's going to do a favor and open one of the remaining boxes on the table. And this could be in response to the box you chose, or he could always open the box, or he could be doing something totally different. He opens box A and it's empty. Now either box C or your box B contains the car keys. Since there are two boxes left, the probability of your box containing the keys is now 1/2. I'll give you $1,000 for the box. Certainly not in there. And in the first half of this, it's certainly not in there. It just tells you what Monty Hall does in one sampling of the game. Now we get to this final part here. It says, is Monty right? The contestant knows that at least one of the boxes on the table is empty. He knows it was box A. Does this knowledge change his probability of having the box containing the keys from 1/3 to 1/2? One of the boxes on the table has to be empty. Has Monty done the contestant a favor by showing him which of the two boxes was empty? This does reveal a bit of extra information. We know that the host cannot reveal a car. That's a plausible argument based on that text. But we don't know if the host can open your door. Okay, that's not specified. And we don't know if the host has to reveal exactly one door after each time the contestant selects a door. Okay, so I'll put a check here. We got some information from this line. Then it says, I'll trade you my box for box C on the table. Monty Hall says that's weird, and that's obviously no information there. And final thing says, hint, the contestant knows what he's doing. then we just get into the solution. Okay, so the original version, you most certainly can't get all this information. Now we're going to go to the popular version. Suppose you're on a game show and you're given the choice between 3 doors. Behind one door is a car, behind the other 2 is goat. You pick, say, number 1. The host, who knows what's behind the doors, opens another door, say number 3, which is a goat. He then says to you, do you want to pick door number 2? Is it to your advantage to switch your choice? It also, it doesn't say he can't reveal a car. It doesn't say that he can't open your door. And it also doesn't say that the host must reveal one door every time after the contestant selects a door. This is my logic here. Is it possible that the host wants you to lose the game? Of course that's possible. There's no information indicating whether the host wants us to win or lose. Okay, and usually hosts actually do want you to lose. Like when you go to the carnival, they make the games hard because they don't want to give out so many prizes. Okay, so that's correct logic. Next, in the event the host wants you to lose, what is a favorable strategy? Well, I'm going to give the following strategy. Anytime the contestant picks a car, you give them the option to switch. Anytime a contestant picks an empty door or goat, you don't give them the option to switch. That's a very smart strategy if your goal is to make the contestant lose, right? Because if he picks a car, his odds of winning are 100% if he doesn't switch, right? So giving him that option to switch goes from 100 to less than 100, right? So that's a favorable thing to do if you want the contestant to lose. If they pick an empty door or goat and you don't give them the option to switch, they've lost for sure. So this would be a very, very good strategy given we want to make the player lose. That's an excellent strategy. And therefore, switching will always make you lose under these conditions. That's correct. The only time you have an option to switch is when you're trading a car for a goat. I don't even have to prove that the game works this way. I only have to prove it's possible the game works this way. The burden of proof is on the Monty Hall believer to show that the 2/3 probability is correct with 100% certainty. They have to prove that my interpretation here is actually impossible. They have to show, using the words that were given in either version of the problem, that this interpretation is impossible. So please do that. Please show me how this is impossible logic. And another way we could prove this is just through evidence, right? We could actually just give people the original version or the popular version, give it to someone who hasn't heard this, and just get them to write out what they think the rules of the game are or how the game operates. See if they can come up with rules 1 and 2, and see if the average person can perform this task. Because if the average person cannot perform this task correctly, then it's actually an illusion of assumptions rather than anything to do with probability. And given that my logic is possible, right? Given that this is possible, then both versions of the problem are simply just incorrect.